Hello. Welcome, everyone. I am Courtney Kaiser. This is Journey of Shadows. I'm hopping on live to talk about my book. Just gonna do a little something to talk to you guys about it. I just released it earlier this month. It's called The Advanced Shadow Work Method. Yeah. I've heard a lot of comments so far about that they love the pink and that they think it's really pretty, which I love because that was important to me to make a book about shadow work that made you feel joy and warm and fuzzy when you looked at it, because that's what I want, and not want, but this is what I would hope for people one day to feel about shadow work, which is warm and fuzzy. And through other methods and approaches, that's not what the feeling you get. Okay. And granted, that doesn't mean that there's not going to be other emotions, but my hope is that with this method and way of looking at shadow work that I had developed about 6 years ago and began using with clients, that that they would be able to really view their shadow as not as like a nuisance or like a bad, evil thing, a part of themselves that they hate, but instead a part that is trying to help them, guide them, tell them exactly where they need to heal and what they need to do to get to that next level up. And how our shadow really is just brilliant, making itself known through creating chaos. Like, how smart are they? Otherwise, we'd have no idea that they were there, right? Unless they created a problem. But yeah, so I just wanted to get on here and talk to you guys about this. I believe the audio book should be out, fingers crossed, by the end of the week. The latest beginning of next week. So if any of you are looking for the audio and can't find it, that's fine. I have to literally go in to record the end. That's what I have to say. That's what's left. We forgot that piece. So, and then we're done. But that should be out soon, and it's also available on ebook or Kindle. And there's a few questions already that people submitted, and I just want to check real quick to see if there's any other. Sorry. Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right, so, and if you guys have questions, this is your time to ask. So feel free. If you're like, I don't even know who you are, like, what's your name? Where are you from? Totally cool. And if you guys would like to tell me where you're from, I would love to hear that. So someone asked me why I wrote a book right now. And that's a great question. And I talk about it a little bit in my book, but really I didn't want to write a book. Spirit was just kind of nudging and pushing, encouraging me to write it. I felt like I needed to. This information, this wisdom had to be shared with the collective, with the public. It wasn't even like about me or being noticed. It's about the information being known. And it was really after each and every workbook came out, and I'm like, okay, you guys are not giving people coping and grounding skills to help people deal with deal with or work through their trauma, navigate it, manage being dysregulated as they're getting re-triggered and re-traumatized through that form of shadow work that you do in workbooks and whatnot. And it triggered me because being a former therapist that specialized in trauma work, the idea of putting questions that I would ask trauma clients about their trauma in a workbook for people to do on their own, whether they have the coping and grounding skills or not, seems super unethical to me. So that was something that felt important for people to understand that there's many ways to go about shadow work, and there's some ways that are going to be more helpful than other ways. And to at least know all your facts, know all of the information that is out there so that you can best help yourself and make the best choices of discernment for yourself. And I want to also name all of the situations that could happen and things that I have seen occur, the consequences of those workbooks when they don't have things like QR codes for grounding and coping skills so that you can learn how to help regulate your nervous system. So these are all really important things that stood out to me, that I felt very protective of people, their trauma, their experience. I didn't want people to re-traumatize themselves and be like, oh, fuck shadow work, I'm not going back to that ever again. That was terrible. I'm still traumatized from it, like I wanted people to have access to more than just that, and something that could actually nourish them, nurture them, provide them with the skills, the wisdom that they need to navigate the shadow work journey in an ethical, accountable, responsible, loving way. And not one that brings up old patterns and makes us want to act in shadow, right? We don't want it to bring more shadow out that we get further entrapped and lost by. So yeah, that spoke to me very loudly. And I had, my situation in my life had set me up to where it made the most sense to take this time that I have in this transition from Austin to Birmingham, and after a recent divorce that a year ago I moved here. So I got divorced a year ago. But yeah, I decided to scale back a little bit with work and focus on the book, and that's been really lovely and supportive. But yeah, it just seemed like now was the right time, and it felt like if I had waited any longer, I would have run out of time or like missed my time with that. So the people are ready to hear it. So that's why. Someone else asked, why are you not a therapist anymore? And that's a great question. I retired my license in 2022, and it was after much deliberation and racking my brain about all of the things that irritated me, frustrated me about being a therapist. There were so many things that I enjoyed about it, but it was things that fed my ego. It wasn't even things that it was like calling myself a therapist, and like, because more people respected it. It was one of those things. It's again more shadow programming of this conditioned idea of who I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to aspire to, and dismantling all of that shadow in my mind so that I could really pursue the type of helper role that I wanted to be in, knowing that I would more than likely need to create my own because there wasn't something that I saw out there just like me. Granted, there's lots of spiritual people, healers and whatnot, star seeds, light workers like me, but they weren't exactly like me, if that makes sense. It's like there's a most of us have like 7 jobs, right? Where we are a Reiki master, we're a high priestess, we're a witch, we have a herbalism business. We also are a Reiki master, a masseuse. Like we're the jack of all trades. We have a lot of healer and metaphysical, alternative, holistic type certifications too. And so I really just pursued actively all the things that I had been interested about, passionate about for years, and had wanted to do and felt a calling towards. And before I made this switch, I made sure to complete a year-long priestess school. I became a Reiki master. I took witch schools long before I ever stopped being a therapist. So it's like all of these skills and wisdom that I had accumulated over the years had really integrated and taken root so that they had become who I was, right? A part of me had been fully free to express and have permission um, to fully be present in those roles without worrying about being a therapist. Because it was also like, all right, if I pursued all these things, I'm going to have 2 LLCs, which I did for a while. Had my therapy one, and then I had my coaching business, my more spiritual business that all of the alternative holistic umbrella can go under. And so when I retired my license, I just completely switched over to Journey of Shadows, or used to be Mystic Journey. But yeah, there's many reasons. It's a lot of bureaucracy, it's a lot of bullshit, it's a lot of money that they would charge us for things to just help people. They just really made us jump over hoops every 5 seconds to just help people. And then we had to tell them all of the reasons why we could help people within means that they gave us, with all of the reasons why we think that. And it's very limited in terms of that sense. And from my perspective, now, not all therapists are going to say that. And yeah, there's going to be therapists that you see out there that are witches, that are spiritual, that have combined shamanism and therapy, like that are combining the worlds in the way that I'm talking about. But again, they're not me. That was hard for me I don't like being told what to do. I need more freedom. I need more access to a greater number of people, not within a boundary limit of location, which if you are a therapist, you can only work within the state that you received your license, but also then any other state. Not all states allow you to also get a dual licenseship there. Sometimes it's just like, oh, you have a client that's moving to the state? Okay, we will allow you to see the client until they get a new therapist. I think that can be super damaging for a lot of people's healing journey, for their mental health, going from somebody who they feel really safe and comfortable with and are doing really great work, and then having to switch just because they move states. It's ridiculous. But that's the way it was, right? And it's just like the constant test taking, not constant, but CEUs, just everything. I it felt so patriarchal to me, so inauthentic to what I was trying to do. Like all of this stuff, I see all of the fluff and the extra shit that they layer on top of this, just making it so hard for us to do our job well, right? In the way we want to. And even then, it's still a lot of therapists are like, I feel like I can only do so much. Like, I feel like a lot of therapists, a lot of their personal stuff and issues that they have surrounds their job. And I can't speak for all therapists. There's some therapists that I know love their job, and I'm not saying they don't love their job while experiencing this, but it's a double-edged sword. There's positives and negatives to everything, right? But yeah, it's patriarchal in nature and it has a medical model in nature. So it feels inherently difficult from a helper's role in my situation. But I still say, like, I love therapy and I love therapists. It's just once you know a certain level of information just about yourself and your healing journey, about your shadows, then and about what kinds of help you need, then you can choose and select appropriate helpers for you, that are going to be exactly what you need. But it makes a difference if you know the synonyms for things, abbreviations, their credentials, their specifications, like all of these things that your average person doesn't know when they're looking for a therapist, right? So it's like there's even all of this other stuff that they're like, oh, people are going to know this and look for this. Nobody knows that. Only other therapists know this stuff, okay? Unless they've been in therapy for a really long time and their therapist told them, right? But yeah, there's just a lot of hoops and things. So it's just stuff to keep in mind. Okay, so another question was, what are the biggest obstacles to shadow work through traditional therapy? And I would say the biggest obstacle is just, if they don't take you into altered states of consciousness, it could take you your whole life to find the answers just through talk therapy. And you still may never find them. Like, you will not even get close. Not even close. Trying to intellectualize this stuff. You have no fucking idea. Really, when it comes down to it. A lot of people think they know, but they don't know. They might know a part of it, but sometimes it doesn't come from you. Sometimes it comes from another life, and not everybody's like, oh yeah, my other life. That's where I think it is from. Unless you're someone like me, you're not really thinking that for most people, right? So it's like, yeah, people don't think, oh, I need to have someone to take me into an altered state of consciousness. But again, that kind of goes back to what I was saying before of like knowing who you need to go to for a therapist. Like, still see a therapist, or I would still see a therapist. My old therapist that was in Texas. I need one in this state, but she was also a neo shaman. So it's like she knows about shadow work from that aspect. She can take me into an altered states of consciousness. She knows the perspectives and intention, energy, everything that I'm moving in life with, right? She knew where to meet me, and also she saw things that I couldn't, right? Those are the kinds of people we need to find, not somebody we feel super comfortable with and like, well, yes, you need to feel comfortable, but like to where we never feel challenged, or like if therapy feels easy all the time and like you're never moving through things or releasing things, then like, what are we doing here? You know, like, so I have to have somebody that's has, you know, high levels of somatic trainings, expertise, and can take me on journeys, guided meditations, so I can meet with shadow. So I can see the things that I can't see through my conscious mind, because you can't access them both at the same time. So yeah, that's really important. And then if they just are, if they're using certain lenses, and there may be some therapists that fight me on this, but there's so much shadow programming and conditioning on everything, and especially in institutions and big, I don't want to call it corporate, but fields of study or careers like therapy. If there's a .gov or something like that connected to it, it's patriarchal in nature. And even though they have, the counseling board has approved many other therapeutic techniques and whatnot, those are not the main ones that they go towards. They go towards like CBT, which has a lot of patriarchal shaming language in it and things like that. It's just not every therapist is going to have, most therapists are not going to have the lens that I have. And not saying that I'm your only option, but someone who is able to see higher lessons, the spiritual lessons, while still holding space for the empathy, but also not attaching to and identifying too much with the narrative of the trauma. If your therapist doesn't allow that or provide support and space for that, then there could be obstacles, sure. If you're not getting coached with like coping and grounding skills or appropriate ways to approach self-talk, again, those are going to be obstacles to your shadow work journey. Yeah. And if they don't call you out for things, if they're not straightforward and dance around things, that could be an obstacle. Or if they allow you to figure it out and don't give you their thoughts or their opinion, as a good therapist would be, unbiased and not tell you what they think. They would allow you to search for your own meaning to find it. You could be fighting forever. So these are all obstacles, okay? Someone asked what's next. So that's a great question. I just got a publicist. Yay! So I will be letting you guys know as soon as I have things, but I have reached out to many a podcasts, and also I submitted applications to speak at music festivals over the summer, as well as wellness weeks and retreats. So, and I will also be hosting at least 2 retreats this year. So for those of you who want to do an intensive deep dive into your shadow work and become truly a master of gaining the lens of shadow work and learning all the skills of self-talk and grounding and coping skills, and then amazing ways of releasing and healing, journeying as well, meeting with your ancestors, all different kinds of skills and things, just receiving various healings on quantum levels of psychic, spiritual, and energetic levels, subatomic levels, in the Redwoods for Samhain, for Halloween next year. If that is of interest to any of you who watch this, stay tuned for announcements for that retreat. It'll be in October, but we will be announcing it soon. It'll be near Mendocino County, so yeah, but I'm very excited for that. And yeah, so I will keep you guys posted and tuned in as soon as I know things are happening, but literally it was just like days ago that I submitted things, and some of these things are like, it'll be a couple months before we get back because there's a lot of applicants, so that's okay. We're just manifesting and knowing it's coming, okay? Any future books is the next question. You know, I think this tore the Band-Aid off. So probably because it was pretty painful for me to write this book, but I think it was because it was so complicated for me to wrap my head around how the fuck I could write this book where people, any person could understand it. And um, it's a very complex topic that has layers and layers and layers to it. So it was really challenging to figure out, what do I call it? what how do I talk about it in a digestible way? So I think those things were really daunting. And so writing this book was not very fun for a while until I got through like a big chunk of it and got towards the other part. Then it was more okay. But yeah, there's some things that I've already thought of, potential future books of that I could definitely write a whole book about. So, yes, there are future potential books. One is definitely magic and shadow work, how you can literally live your daily life full of magic as you do shadow work, and it helps a lot. So, but stay tuned. We shall see. Next question was, why did you not include the guided meditation in the book? That is a great question. I was wondering if someone would ask that. This is shungite, by the way, to protect myself from EMFs and other hazardous energies and technologies. But well, I do have a class, an online class that gives the guided meditation in a general format. It's the first time I've ever done that, putting it in general format, because when I do this guided meditation with clients, it's really hard to reproduce and give a generalized version, because we are having a direct conversation with your shadow. So whatever they say will depend on what my next question is. So when I'm not there with you guys talking to each of you, I don't know what question to ask next. I don't know what your shadow's saying. I don't know what's happening. So I'm just, in the general, I'm just giving out basic questions that I think would come up or need to be said or asked. And I understand that it's not going to be the same as like if you were in a session with me. So for as long as I can withstand the volume, I have an option in my online class to receive a free session with me, so that if the guided meditation did not work for you, you can do it with me and get the real deal and experience that, because I think it's really important. But yeah, it was just really hard for me. There's no way I can write that down in a book to where it, A, you will get it, B, experience it. Like, that's just not a thing. So I am sorry, but I can't give you everything. Hopefully though, well, I guess this is something in the future books, but eventually I want to get to a space where I can teach my method to other practitioners, therapists, healers, coaches. So there will be more of me to help, which would be lovely, and, if you want to learn this for yourself, like, please reach out, set up an appointment with me. If you just want to do the meditation and figure out some answers, like, bypass the initial consultation and go straight into the one-on-ones. Yeah, it's worth it. So there's an option. If you want to know, I have a class online. There's a payment plan as well. Yeah, so it's journeyofshadows.com, and you'll find the class on there. But other than that, you would have to set up an appointment with me. So But it's not because I didn't want to. It's just I literally couldn't think about how I could do it where it would be effective or helpful in any way, shape, or form. So, and the last question, where are you from? Oh, well, I was born in Birmingham, Alabama. And what's really interesting is I just moved back here a year ago, as I was saying, and I had no idea. It's called Magic City. My whole life, I did not know that. I'm like, of course, and I'm a witch, and I'm from here. Yeah, but I grew up in Austin, Texas, so I say I'm from Austin. That's what I know. That's where I built my life, but I am no longer there. So I apologize if any of you guys are like, I'm in Austin, I'm not there anymore, but I will be coming back at some point. Yeah. And if any of you guys see this later after it's posted and you have more questions, DM them or put them in the comments. And if there's enough of them, I can make another live and answer your questions. And next time, I'll even do one better and tell you guys in advance when I'm gonna be on the live. Yeah, I just wanted to pop on. There was no plan, really, and it's fine, right? It's fine. Okay. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, drop them in the comments. Please like, subscribe. If you are enjoying the content or the information that I am sharing, you find value of it, please share it with people that you feel it would impact in a helpful, beneficial way. Don't be trolling people, spilling, like doing some shady shit and like, oh, you need help with that. Like, come on. Or do it, whatever. Do whatever you want, okay? But happy new moon in Aquarius too. That's right. Perfect. We are working on ourselves, connecting to our inner genius, connecting to community, and planting seeds. So if you got some seeds that you're planting on this new moon that involve you loving yourself or working on your self-growth, self-development, you should go get this book, The Advanced Shadow Work Method, because it will help you fully plant those seeds and water them to have a flourishing, blooming garden, okay? I hope everybody has a beautiful Wednesday, and Squirrel, the dog, also says, have a wonderful day. Okay, bye-bye.